people want connection. They want a feeling. You know, when something comes up in your newsfeed that makes you comment or makes you hit like or makes you share it, it's because you felt something. It's because it touched you, because it created an emotion and it moved you into action. And that is quantifiable or measurable by an algorithm. The algorithm interprets success as engagement.
What's up, everybody? You're listening to the Hustle and Flowchart podcast with your boys, Matt Wolf and Joe Fear.
All right. I think we are live with this new app thing that we're using. How are you guys? I think we're all here. So, Salome. Yes.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you. It's great to have you here. And we've been chatting for a while. And it was Adam Scheibel that sent you our way. And he just had
Mr. Butter voice.
Yeah, I was going to say our notes say Mr. Butter voice, not Adam.
Yeah, that's right. Mr. Butter voice. That's what you call it.
If we work on it, everyone can start calling him that.
It really does. We need to. I don't think we've had him on the show yet, but we'll have to.
That is definitely how we'll refer to him when we have him.
Voice.
Yes. Start a thing, and he'll always remember it was me who started it.
There you go.
I love it. We could do that. But yeah, we got connected, and he was raving about the strategies with paid traffic and engagement, of course, which is the probably the biggest key is you want engaging people after you send some paid traffic invest. But then he has a podcast, and you've really helped him grow that through your strategies. And I think that's what really we're like, aha, ding, that's a great idea. We would love that. And I know a lot of listeners as well. But yeah, I guess walk us, you have an interesting background. So you're from South Africa, like you were saying, you run a company in Australia and it's women run across the board, I believe, right? And everyone's an immigrant to their resort.
Yes, we
cool.
check all the boxes. We check all the boxes. Diversity, we can do better on diversity. I'll tell you that. We're working on it. But so I'm Salome Schillack. I live in beautiful Brisbane in Australia with my husband and my two wonderful daughters. But I am originally from South Africa, grew up, lived there until I was about 23. Then I moved to the UK, lived there for a while, and then came back to South Africa. And then my boyfriend at the time said he wants to look for a job overseas. Within a month, had a job in Australia, and within 3 months, we were down here and married and setting up a whole new life in Australia. And the funny thing is, and then when I started my business, I started working with Americans. So now I work with Americans all day long. I have a team across Australia, the Philippines, and the US and Canada. All women running Facebook ads for online course creators and the hosts of membership sites. So that's our jam. That's what we do all day.
Nice.
Yeah. So how did you get into it? How did you decide that the Facebook and the audience building and all this stuff was what you wanted to do? What were you doing before this? And, how did you get into this?
Oh, that's a great question. I had my first child. So I have a background in musical theater. And then when that didn't work out anymore, marketing. And then when we moved to Australia, I was looking for a marketing job, but I was living in Perth, which is on the west side of Australia, the most isolated city in the world. There's literally desert and ocean between that and anything else. And I thought, well, I'll just get another marketing job, not realizing that all the marketing companies are all based in Sydney, and I'm not going to get a marketing job in Perth. So I ended up, I had pharmaceutical marketing experience. So I ended up working as a pharmaceutical rep, which is a great job. And I loved it. And it kind of checked all the entrepreneur boxes for me that I had inside that I hadn't yet recognized as entrepreneur boxes. The I need freedom to do my own thing, the don't look over my shoulder and tell me what to do, the kind of rebellious, the just give me my little business and I'll make it work, kind of those boxes. And that worked great until I had a child. And part of being a pharmaceutical rep, especially in Australia, is you got to get on airplanes and go places. And I will never, ever forget the day I dropped my she was about 10 months old, maybe a little bit older at that stage. But I dropped her off at daycare and it was Mother's Day. It was the day before Mother's Day, and all the other mummies came for morning tea. But I had to get on an airplane to go and talk to doctors in a rural town. And the reason I had to get on that plane that day was because some dude in an office in Sydney had a spreadsheet that said, based on the number of sales that my territory brings in, I have to spend certain number of days in these certain areas, and they had to be those days. And I just had this moment where I went, no dude with a spreadsheet will ever tell me again where I have to be, when I have to be there. That was a defining moment for me. That was a moment I got in my car and I bawled my eyes out. And it was an absolute defining moment for me in terms of going, working full time for a boss is not going to work for me. It's not going to, I am not going to be happy doing this with children. But I kind of felt like it's door number 1 is work full time. Door number 2 is stay at home full time. And that didn't work very well for me either, because a lot of women have said they feel very relieved when they hear me say, I would rather stick a fork in my eye than watch my children jump on the trampoline. I am just not. Yeah, you've been there. Yeah.
And I hear my wife say that too.
Yeah, but the thing is, women don't talk about that because you're supposed to enjoy watching them do mundane stuff. And you're supposed to enjoy feeding, cleaning, pooping, cleaning, feeding. You're supposed to enjoy that stuff. And I'm not that mother. I need creative outlet. I need to conquer something. That's what, like, I have a drive to achieve something, and just the feeding and all the mundane stuff just didn't really do it for me. I'm enjoying my kids a lot more now that they're older and I can have conversations with them. So then I started, I thought coaching is the way to go, because I kind of looked at my skills and I was like, oh, geez, I can't sell anything. I don't know. Well, what am I going to start a business on? So, of course, the logical answer is life coaching. I'm going to go and do life coaching. So I enrolled in a life coaching course that ended up costing me $30,000. And tried to be a life coach. And then I heard the riches is in the niches. So I decided, well, I have a background in sales. So I niched down as a sales coach, and I couldn't sell my services. I was the sales coach who couldn't sell my own services. I'm sure people will associate with that.
That's kind of a good, I'm like, that's a good metaphor, association that a lot of people probably have experienced, either themselves directly or they hired someone like that.
Or they hired someone.
Wait, hold on.
Exactly. So it was hard for me. And it's the first 2-3 years of being an entrepreneur. There's so much unlearning that has to happen, and so much internal work that has to happen. And so failing for a few years did me really well. It did me as a human. It turned me into a better human. But at the end of about 2 years of that, I was $40,000 in debt. And my husband was turning gray really fast, and we talked about it, and I decided to go back to my day job. And that was, at that point, I had already launched an online course because I realized that sales coaching wasn't for me. I realized coaching wasn't for me. I looked around me and realized it's an online business that I want. So I had narrowed it down to, like, it's an online business. And so what I did but I don't know if do you guys remember Periscope?
Yes.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Sure. So when Periscope was still around, I used to go live every day and just talk about what I was learning about online marketing, and built up a little bit of an audience. And then Facebook Live launched. And the day Facebook Live launched, I was live. And because I'd been live fit, I was like going live regularly. And everyone was saying, how are you doing this? And so I created my first online course called the Facebook Live Superstar. But I taught myself how to run Facebook ads, and I ran $400 worth of Facebook ads, and I made $2,000. And I packed it all up. I was like, this is not worth the work. I've worked hard for 3 years. I have failed hard for 3 years. $2,000. I can't feed my family on $2,000. And I wish somebody had sat me down at that moment and did the math for me and said, you put in 400, you get 2,000 out. That is a spectacular success and you should just do it again. But I was exhausted and felt isolated, and if all the, I was just at the end of my rope, and we were $40,000 in debt. So I was like, I'm done. So I went back to my day job, and this time I worked for a different company again as a pharmaceutical rep, and I hated every minute of it. Like, just couldn't do it. But the amazing thing is, I got to spend 6 hours in my car every day listening to online marketing training every single day, and I had my little phone up on the dash, mounted on the dash, and I went through every training on the planet. I made a deal with my husband, actually. I said to him, I will go back to my job if I can take $1,000 of my salary and use that for education. And he said, okay, you can do that. So I had $1,000 a month budget for education and 6 hours a day. So that job that I hated ended up being the best gift ever. And
that is the coolest. Yeah, that's the coolest way to leverage a job, especially even if for someone listening that might be listening to this right now, maybe not driving to work, but commuting to their bedroom for work or something on a lockdown. But you're leveraging that time and you're motivating yourself. And I guess you have that budget. You actually have this allocated amount of money that you can apply to that thing. Super smart. I
think for me at the time, I felt, if I'm going to go back to my job so that we can pay off this debt, I need to be able to work towards getting out of it again. And I need to be able to not feel trapped. And I knew that taking a part of the salary that I got from my job and allocating it to this thing that I didn't even know what this thing was. I just knew there was freedom on the other end of this online thing. I don't know what it was. I didn't know what it was going to be. There was freedom at the end of this thing, and it required time, and it required money, and it required my energy. And I can put in all three of those things while I'm checking boxes for someone else and while I'm doing my job. And I will tell you, I sucked at my job that year. I was the most unengaged. My poor boss, I sucked at it. But I showed up and I checked the boxes, and it was about 10 months into it, I got on an airplane from Perth to San Diego. It's a 30-hour round trip. Yes, 30 hours. And I went to an online marketing conference that was amazing. And for the first time, I sat in a room with people there who were just like me and who had the same dreams as me and the same struggles as me. And while I was at my job, I started freelancing as a Facebook ads manager, because that Facebook ads kind of came naturally to me, and I didn't realize a lot of other people struggle with it. So I just started first taking on clients for free, and then for like $500 a month, and then $750 a month, and it grew a little bit organically. And at the end of that conference, I walked away with 4 new clients, and I came home and I quit my job and I started working as a freelancer, full-time freelancer, and hustled my ass off that year and turned it into an agency. Yeah.
I bet that 15-hour flight back home was feeling pretty good. At that point, you just closed 4 clients. You're like, I'm quitting this thing. I'm out. New beginning.
It's the best feeling. It's the best feeling. There's defining moments in that journey, and that was a defining moment for me. Yeah. And the rest is history. The rest is now, now I have a 5-women team of people who serve online course creators, and we only do online course creators, no e-commerce, no anything else, just online course creators. That's all we do. And we build engaged audiences for them and scale their businesses.
Well, and I know a lot of the strategies, like I mentioned, Adam, being a podcaster, I know he's applied your strategies in kind of a different way, but that you guys as an agency, course creators. And I think maybe talk about what you found, because we were talking before hitting record, how there's a lot of folks that run ads or can run ads and teach ads, or even agencies, but they're not really thinking about engagement, like the piece that happens maybe during the ad, but also after the ad. So maybe walk us through some of your thoughts on that.
Yeah. So, well, you got to think back about January 2018 when Mark Zuckerberg announced the big change to the algorithm, right? If you think about what he said Facebook will from now on favor the content of friends and family over that of marketers. Because when people come to the platform, what they want is friends and family. What they want is connection. When you come to a social media platform and you're bombarded with marketing messages, what do? You leave, you go somewhere else. And, gone are the days, Mark realized, gone are the days where it's just Facebook and Instagram. As soon as Snapchat arrived on the scene, they were like, oh, we got a problem. So they realized that people want connection. They want a feeling. When something comes up in your newsfeed that makes you comment or makes you hit like or makes you share it, it's because you felt something. It's because it touched you, because it created an emotion and it moved you into action. And that is quantifiable or measurable by an algorithm, which is a computer system, through engagement. That is what, like, the algorithm interprets success as engagement, So what Mark really was saying is we want engaging content on the platform because that keeps people there. It brings people back. It keeps them connected and it keeps the relationships going. And we kind of stumbled upon this thing where we had a client who built a beautiful audience on Instagram. And then when the algorithm changed, she said, I've worked so hard to build this audience on Instagram and they have just completely died on me. I don't know where they are. They're not responding. And she creates amazing, like incredible engaging content. So we said, well, we're just going to start running some engagement ads. We just want to see what happens if we run some ads that are optimized for engagement, because she creates such good content. We're just going to take some of her great posts, run it as an engagement ad. So that's an ad where you tell Facebook, go get me engagement specific. And we targeted it to her warm audiences. So her audiences that have already liked her page, that have already following her on Instagram, that have been to her website or that's on her email list. So people that have self-nominated to be in her world. We started running some of her content to them. And it was like her Instagram account woke up. It's like, when the sun comes up and it kind of lifts its face and it's like,
Sure.
Like that's what happened to her Instagram account. But that's not all that happened. She also said her Shopify account, because she sells journals. She was saying her Shopify account has increased sales. She said her podcast has increased downloads. And she said her website has increased hits. Now, if you think about engagement, like if something comes onto your newsfeed and you like it, you like it so much that you engage with it. The next thing you do is you're going to go, oh, who is this person? And you click on their profile. And then you're going to read through at least 20 of their latest posts, right? And then something will catch your eye, and then you're going to go to the link in their bio and click to go to their website. And then you're going to subscribe to their podcast. So engagement begets engagement, right? And for her, what we saw, and this is 2 years ago, what we saw was it just all of a sudden kicked off this awakening of our entire digital ecosystem. And so we just stock standard started running engagement ads for all of our clients. Like as soon as they come on board and work with us, we take their best social media posts and we put like literally $5 a day on their best social media posts and run it as engagement ads. Now, what we learned in the meantime is we run it to warm audiences, but then we also use it to cold audiences to kind of, lead with an engaging piece of material. Lead with, hello, this is what I stand for, this is who I am, and this is how you can connect with me. And there's no call to action. There's no like do this thing or download this thing or get this thing. It's all just, this is who I am, this is what I stand for. And we found you can kind of interchange videos or images depending on what you want to do. Sometimes images work really well on Instagram. Sometimes videos work better. And we kind of combine it a little bit with video views ads as well. but it's having this top of funnel, this first point of contact with people where you're just saying hi in a way that moves them. Yeah. So that's what we learned. So now, and then, there's another part of this where we saw that people who are just starting out, who has no audience, is completely stuck building an audience, because Facebook doesn't show their stuff to their followers because they don't have engagement, but they don't have engagement because Facebook doesn't show their stuff. So it's this wicked catch-22.
Right.
And so now I teach new online marketers, new online course creators, people who are trying to build their audience from scratch. I teach them the strategy to use $5 a day on engagement ads and just wake up their accounts. And I'll tell you, I've had conversations with Facebook where they have literally looked at the accounts we managed and gone, this is fantastic because we're running engagement ads, we're running video views ads, we're running traffic ads, and we're running conversion ads. So, traditionally, you go back to 2017, what everyone was just running conversion ads because we just want to get people on our list and we want them to get them to buy our stuff.
Right.
But it doesn't work that way anymore.
Yeah. This is actually a conversation Matt and I have been having just with posting normal posts, on social, and the more we post just content and things that we think people that follow us, or at least the people that we want to follow us, will come. Yeah, they will come to that post and engage. But the more we do that, what do you know? More of those people come and engage. And like just like you said, organically, you could probably take that same approach or something similar.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm curious, what kind of content would you put in these posts? Because the common wisdom would be you want some sort of call to action. Are you just not even putting a call to action in the first one? Just, hey, here's something that you'll find valuable, but if you find this valuable, you'll end up deeper down my rabbit hole.
Absolutely.
Is that kind of the idea then?
That's the idea. So of course we create custom audiences first off. We create audiences that captures anyone who does engage with this. So whether they click to read more, whether they watch 3 seconds or 15 seconds of a video, whether they just, whatever they do. So the first most important thing is to create those custom audiences. And you want to make sure you have people who engaged with you on Facebook in X number of days. So if you're just starting out, I would say start with 180 days. But if you're getting some traction, the smaller that you make that window of engagement time, the more like recently they engaged with you. So then you'll be more memorable. So of course we want to start by creating those audiences so that we capture them, so that if they engage, at least we know we can do something with them, so we'll be retargeting them later. So you create these custom audiences, and then the content, the way that I teach people when they're starting out with this, the first clue to what is good engagement content is look at what has done well on your social feeds. Look at what people have already connected with, what has already gotten people to comment, what's gotten people to share, what is already triggering an emotion for people. So look at that and then taste it, run it to your, $5 a day. We're playing, we're having fun. This is not wasting money. This is not like putting your life savings in it. You can approach it with a very playful attitude and like taste and see what works. And so the first clue is if you have social media content that have worked well, try that. But in terms of content, what I tell people to create is you want to make sure that it causes someone to feel something. So it can either be something that's a little controversial. Maybe you can say, like, I have a video where I say social media is dead, right? Or I could create the same video and say social media is not dead, you're just doing it wrong. For somebody who is who's in my ideal audience, immediately they're like, what? Well, hang on, what? Say that again. And then I can talk about this a little bit of you just need engagement, and that's why your social media is dead. And so in that piece of content, you need to pull them in. You need to make them feel something, and then what I always say is you have to like show them that you're their person. Show them that either you get their pain, or you understand their desires, and you can build authority just through that. But it's kind of like, you've got to think of it as Adam calls it the how you doing strategy. It's like Joey from the show Friends walking in and saying, how you doing, you know? It's how you doing. It's the piece of content that connects with them. So you don't need to be overly pushy. You don't need to have any call to action. All you want them to do is to go, yes, you're my person. You feel me.
Yeah.
You understand me. I want to like this. I want to comment on this. And that's all you need. And now they're in a custom audience. Now you're going to retarget them with your list building ad or your podcast ad.
Gotcha. So is your so is the measure of success on these ads when you're looking in the dashboard on Facebook, are you just looking at comments, likes, engagement? That's pretty much the metric you're testing to see if that $5 is $5 well spent, you know, because obviously you're probably testing different things. You're looking on your Facebook page and going, okay, that worked. Let's run this as an ad. And you might test a few different things. So to pick the winner, the metrics you're looking at are which ones are getting the likes and comments and that sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Now, I want to say there's a couple of different reasons why we keep these ads running. The one is when you look at your ad and you're getting shares, that like then you're in the pound seat. Like that's the best. You're getting comments, perfect, ideal, you love it. You're getting likes, okay, that's good. But you might look at your ad account and see that you're getting no comments, no likes, no shares, but you're still just paying a cent for an engagement. And that ad can be worth keeping purely for what it is feeding into your ad account quality. Because our ad accounts, Facebook will never admit to this, but I am telling you this because I see it. And I have spoken to some other people who run agencies and they say the same thing. But Facebook ranks our accounts.
Oh, yeah. And we've heard that from some others on the show here too.
Yeah, they will never admit it, but they do. And actually, I should say some people who work there has admitted it to me, but there's like hush hush, you know. Don't let the Facebook secrets out. Your account is ranked and given a quality score based on things like engagement. So even if you have an ad that is not getting comments or shares or likes, but it's getting you about a cent, you're paying about a cent per engagement, but that engagement isn't visible, I tell my students to just keep it. Because just keep it, forget about it, let it run. It's probably running to a cold audience at this stage because it's building your account mojo. And that mojo in the long run brings down your conversion costs. So this client that I told you about.
So you're investing on the front end.
Yes. You're buying favor with Facebook. That's what you're buying, literally. But you're also, you're also leading into your custom audiences because people are engaging with it. So you could potentially end up having an ad that's just running low and slow in the background, that's just building your account mojo, that's not necessarily getting any visible engagement, but it's getting engagement, so it's building up the mojo, which is good. And then you may want to play with other pieces of content where you are actively seeking comments, where you are actively seeking if actual engagement with people. And I'd probably run those more to my warm audiences because people who are already in your world, like you want to build relationship with them. You want to create deeper connections with them. So you want to put something useful in front of them. You want to put something funny in front of them. You want to put your best piece of content in front of them, and you want them to engage. So those are the two different goals that we have with this. And we saw this client that I told you about that we kind of stumbled upon this. When she started working with me, she sells a low dollar offer. $240 online course. And she said to me, I have to get leads under $2. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense to do this. And we worked and we got them under $2. And then we started this engagement strategy. And over a year later, she was paying 30 cents, between 30 cents and 80 cents, continuously under $1 for a lead. She's the only person whose ad cost came down in 2018. Everyone else's went up. So we were like, we're onto something here. So that account quality and that mojo that you build up, it rewards you in the long term by bringing down your conversion costs.
This is so cool.
Yeah, I keep thinking of like just organic posts, just because it's things that Matt and I have been testing more so and kind of getting back into. Because honestly, like for a while, Matt and I were just like, social media, we're just kind of, we're done with you. And, you know, we kind of, which is dumb because
2020 was kind of a rough year on social media in my eyes.
Definitely. Yeah. But it's interesting because like you said, you feed the system with good content, the right people show up and they're going to, you know, like, comment and all that stuff. But it's interesting because like when you're posting something on Facebook organically, you're not going to put a call to action on there typically every single time like someone would with an ad. So it's like, why are our brains trying to just jump to like, got to get them to do something, got to do something. It's like, just be cool. And then like later on when they trust you, that's when you show up with something that's relevant.
Yeah. And as long as you've got those custom audiences built, for me, it kind of takes away that feeling of that FOMO of, I got to get them to do something, because I know, you know, I'm going to give you some, I'm going to create a piece of content. I'm going to create a social media post that you're going to love and you're just going to love it. But I'm putting you in a custom audience and you know, you're going to be retargeted later, you know, and when they like it and they enjoy it, of course, they're going to want your lead magnet. Of course, they're going to want to show up for your webinar. Of course, they're going to sign up for your challenge or your, you know, thing, or they're going to go listen to your podcast. But the algorithm's not going to put your stuff in front of them.
Yeah, we had a guy named Kurt Molly on the show a couple times, and he talks about that middle of funnel, that warm audience is almost like, see it almost as like another mailing list, right? You're building this audience of people. Once they engage with these cold audiences and now they know who you are, you have an audience that you can put offers in front of, just like you would a mailing list. So if you're going to go promote a product, you mail your list, but you also put it right in front of that warm audience that you've been cultivating of people who have interacted with your cold ads.
Yes,
so
exactly.
I love that concept.
Yeah. So Kurt's strategy is kind of a tactic that uses the exact same principles of what I'm talking about. It's the, you know, lead with value, build the relationship, and, you know, give them something that is of value to them, and then bring them in and then convert them.
Yeah. Well, I want to try to translate this over to podcasting a little bit. So I was talking to Adam, this is probably about a week ago, and he made a comment to me about how he ran a Facebook ad that got him his biggest podcast download day that he's ever had. And so I said, hey, that ad that you mentioned, you mind breaking it down for me? He's like, I don't need to. You're talking to Salome in a couple of days. She'll break it down for you. And I was like, all right then. So can we go there? And I don't know if you're familiar with the ad that Adam ran or not, but I want to hear kind of the philosophy or idea behind it.
Sure. So, I told Adam to do one of two things, and I'm not sure which one he did. So I'll just share both of them with you.
Awesome. Even better.
So the strategy that I'm using to build my podcast that is also resulting in better downloads for me, I can like the 3 episodes that I'm running ads to are the best episodes, and they continue to be the best episodes. And it's beautiful because it's magically bringing me listeners. I love it. So what we do is we create, you know how you create your show notes page? It's a page that's on your website. So you have to have a page on your website with your pixel on. And what I do is you have right at the top, you'll have the name of the podcast, of course, and maybe a benefit of why people should listen. Because remember, you got to pull them in immediately. You got to give them a reason to listen straight off the bat. And then we have the little link to the audio where they can listen. So they can listen right there after clicking. Because imagine you're standing in line in the bank, or you're sitting on the couch, scrolling through. We got to make it easy for them. We don't want them to go and subscribe and do this and do that and do the other thing. Click, listen, easy. So you've got the little listening button. You guys will know what the technical term is for that little thingamajiggy with the listening button.
Player.
Player. There's the
technical. I don't know. We don't have a technical term for it.
Yeah. It's above my pay grade. And then right below that, you have a subscribe button, right? So those who, even if they just listen, maybe they listen just for a few seconds, and then they're going to click subscribe, and they're going to be taken to your Apple or your wherever you host your podcast. And then below that, we have a list of, like you would have show notes again. Here's the amazing thing that you'll learn at this timestamp. Here's the other amazing thing you'll learn at this timestamp. And here's the other amazing things you'll learn at this timestamp. So we have that there. And then another subscribe here. And then you might have the transcription if you want, or, something else. And then you might also on that page have a opportunity for them to join your email lists. You give them some kind of a free lead magnet that is related to the podcast episode, because they clicked because they're interested in the podcast content. So make it related. It's not just your stock standard thing. It's something that's related to that. So that's kind of how we build the page. And then we run traffic landing page view ads to this. So then you would create an ad, and you would, in the copy of the ad, you explain the benefits of listening to the podcast episode, and it's a click here to listen now, and they click and they go to this landing page where they can immediately listen, where they can subscribe, and where they get captured into a custom audience of people who have been there. And so you can, you can create retargeting ads for people who went to that page but didn't opt in for your free thing, and you retarget them with your free thing. So they're in your ecosystem as soon as they've clicked there. And miraculously, what we've seen is it grows the listenership on those episodes. And don't ask me how, because we can't track, we can't directly, Facebook doesn't directly tell us how many people have subscribed to the podcast as a result of this. The only stat we have in Facebook is how many people clicked to go to the landing page. But as long as you're paying kind of around $1.50, I'd say like your ad is hitting it. Your ad is on target if you're paying somewhere between $1 and $1.50 to get someone onto your landing page, which sounds expensive. But if you just you put literally, we run them low dollar budgets. I think I'm running some for like $3, and I just switch it on and set it and forget it. And then when I go in and I look, I'm like, holy cow, these podcast episodes are the top performing podcast episodes, and people are clicking on my ads. So they must be then listening. It's working. It's working.
Yeah. So you said those are ads in Facebook that are traffic landing page type ads then.
Yes. So you optimize the traffic, and then at ad set level, where you choose the type of traffic, you get to choose between clicks or landing page views. You choose landing page views because you want people to not just click, you want them to go to the page. You actually want them to listen, or read about it. And then make sure that you set up that custom audience of people who did click to that landing page, because that's going to be another useful audience for you to retarget with your lead magnet, or with a second episode of your podcast, or with a video, or with a something. Because now if you're being strategic about how you build, I talk about the golden thread, like if you take them on a purposeful journey where your messaging starts with value, some kind of, maybe you have an engagement ad that touches on the topic of your podcast. Everyone who engages with that then gets sent the podcast episode ad, and then they get sent a lead magnet. By the time they move down your funnel, by the time they're on your email list or get to your evergreen low dollar offer, like they're ready to buy.
This is super cool. Is there a way, do you have a process of selecting which podcast you promote, which podcast episode, or is it just kind of at random?
I just choose the best ones. I choose the ones that,
the best one.
like that my audience have already indicated to me is valuable to them. I also
kind of like a social post then in a way.
Yeah, but I would also be strategic about, you know, what phase of your launch are you in. So when we launch online courses, you know, there's the pre-launch runway phase where you're kind of 3 months out from launching your course, and your messaging starts, you know, fine tuning. So you know, when I'm launching a course about list building or audience building, my podcast episode starts aligning with audience building and list building. The lead magnet I'm running is related to audience building or list building. But when I'm launching a course about launching, then the content switches a little bit, the conversation switches a little bit. So it may depend on which of your funnels you are purposefully trying to build at that time. You're purposefully trying to warm people up and bring them in at the top, so that once you say, well, my masterclass is now open, you know, go grab your seat, you have a nice big warm audience of people who have listened to the podcast episodes, maybe multiple podcast episodes related to that piece of, you know, that problem that you solve. And they've watched your engagement videos, and they've engaged with you on Facebook, and they've joined you live, and they, you know, it's just, you want to build that conversation. So be purposefully with something you're going to sell in mind, because we can build audiences all day, but if we don't, you know, you got to start with the end in mind, and the end is you're going to pay me for my knowledge.
Yeah. No, it's perfect. That's great, and I'm happy you said that, because it's easy to then figure out, okay, well, you know, like we have an affiliate marketing tool stack episode that was very popular, but we also have a lead opt-in that's custom to that, you know, that basically gives it away for free, and then that triggers all sorts of fun stuff afterwards. So
all sorts of fun stuff. So you reverse engineer that, and create some, you know, then run the podcast episode, and then create some engagement content for that, and you've built the funnel.
Yeah, I mean, just kind of putting all this together, like you could kind of combine the strategies you're talking about here too, where you maybe pull like a 5-minute clip from a podcast episode that's really a good takeaway from that episode, run that to a cold audience, make it a pure engagement ad. Then when people trickle down from that engagement ad, that's where you're doing these landing page optimizations over to your show notes. So if somebody just watched, you know, a clip from this episode right here that we're doing right now, and it's a 5-minute clip that they really like, well, anybody who watched past, let's say 25%, now we're linking them over to where they can go and click and listen to the full episode on our show notes page.
Yeah. And you can even grab a quote.
Nice little tie together.
Yeah, you know, you grab a quote from this, you stick it on an image, you run that as an engagement post, and then you run the video as a video views ad. Now you're getting both those optimizations. You're getting engagement and you're getting video views. You have a video views custom audience, so anyone who watches the video is getting captured. You have an engagement audience. Anyone who engages is getting captured. Then you retarget them with the podcast, and you know, you have purposefully put that podcast in front of people who've already self-selected that this is something, you know, they've already raised their hand and said, I'm interested in this. I like this. I want more of this.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. And Facebook just recently lifted the restrictions on text and images too. So you can actually run ads to quotes now, because Facebook isn't saying only 20% can be text anymore. That's an old rule now.
Yeah. Finally, they lifted it. It's funny because they've lifted it before and then they brought it back. So we'll see what they do.
Well, it's perfect for all of us making a bunch of audiograms with our podcasts, you know, either animated videos or just a freaking image that's just a quote from the episode. I mean, we have tons of that. Okay. Wow. Yeah.
So I've one last little thing that I think would be kind of cool to touch on. I have a note here on growing your list through quiz ads. Can you speak into what a quiz ad is for a second?
Yes. So quizzes, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but quizzes are all the rage at the moment. Everyone's doing what's your bleep personality type, or, you know, what's your or, you know, those sorts of quizzes. So as lead magnets, I think it's kind of the Ryan Levesque ask method quiz that, like, he kind of kicked off this trend to create quizzes. and to segment your audience using quizzes, which is really super smart. And I created a piece of content about quizzes because I noticed that people either succeed. Well, this whole quiz thing it just took off massively in the online worlds where I move. And the reason it did is because some people are just cleaning up with quizzes. It is just doing so well for them. Yep. And then other people are like, it's just tanking completely. So it kind of is this thing where you're either going to massively succeed or massively tank. So I've created a piece of content to teach people the ad side of that and why sometimes it tanks and sometimes it works. And what it comes down to is, well, there's a few things, but the first thing is you have to have a niche where people are already wondering about the thing that you're quizzing them on. It has to be a question they're already grappling with. So, for example, a business coach who creates a quiz, what's your best business model? Tanks. Because nobody goes to bed thinking, what is my best business model? I want to think of a few examples of ones where I've seen it tank. Anything where you're just driving people. I've seen what's your Facebook ads personality? Not something people go to bed with, worrying about.
Never even heard of that. Yeah, why would I care?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Or what's your online marketing 80s persona? Not a problem I go to sleep with.
Yeah. Marketing superpower. Yeah.
Marketing superpower. I've literally seen that one. Which marketing superhero are you? And it's cute, and maybe it works on social media, but because your people, your tribes, maybe they're going to take it. But if you run ads to it, like, nobody's going to click. So where it does work well is where you have a very specific niche and it is a question people are already grappling with. So what I've seen work really well is I worked with someone she teaches people how to uncover their intuition or connect with their intuition. And her quiz is, what is your intuitive type? And she runs it to an audience who are already grappling with this question of what is my intuitive type? Is this intuition thing real? Can I trust it? Is this something that works for, they're already grappling with what is this thing that I'm feeling inside that I think is something. And then she says, what is your intuitive type? And that works really well. And I'm trying to think of some other examples. I'll think of some other examples where it works really well, but it's usually I've seen a money mindset coach run one where she says, what is your financial, how did she call it? It's almost like a personality type, but she emphasized that we have different ways that we interact with money, and the different type of money personality you have will determine how you spend and how you save and what your money mindset challenges are. Because for some of us it's spending, for others of us it's saving, we all have different. So she had this, what is your money mindset? It was a personality or something, but that worked really well because her audience is already into money mindset and they already know that but what I struggle with and what someone else struggles with is not the same, or that it might be like the way I deal with money is different from how my husband deals with money, and how do we take our two money personalities and blend it so that we stop fighting about money. So that worked really well. But the challenge with challenge ads is this: when you're running them, because normally when we're running lead magnet ads, right, we have a landing page that we send people to, and we have a thank you page, and the ad goes to the landing page, they opt in, they land on the thank you page, a conversion occurred. Super straightforward, easy. There's one step and then they convert. With a quiz, you're running an ad to a landing page. People come to the landing page and then they decide to take the quiz. And then they go to quiz page 1. And then they go to quiz page 2. And then they go to quiz page 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and wherever. And then they get to the final page where it says, awesome, to get your results, opt in for this thing. And then they need to give you their email address. And then they're a conversion. Then they are a conversion. So a mistake that a lot of people make is they set the ads up the way they would set up a lead magnet, where they set the conversion on the first page. And that is not, in fact, a conversion. A conversion is multiple pages deep. So you've got to set that conversion for when they've given you their email address. And now you've got to make sure that your marketing is good enough that people are clicking to the landing page and then going down this rabbit hole of the quiz. And then you give them enough incentive to give you their email address. And you also have to put enough budget on this ad. So I always say, when you're running quiz ads, starts with $50 a day. That's, for someone who's just starting out, $50 a day can be high for a lead magnet. But if your marketing works and you can strategically bring them to that quiz and they love it, and you're paying cents to get them to the landing page, and they're taking the quiz, and you're good at enticing them to give you their email address and then opt in, that conversion that is on the thank you page that happens multiple pages deep, once you get the first one, the algorithm learns and it goes and finds you more people like that, and it brings them in. And then you get the second one and the algorithm learns and it will bring you more. And if you start with $50 a day, you should get enough conversions. You should get at least $50 a day. You should get at least 30 conversions in those first per day, in those first 3 days. If you're getting 30 conversions in those first 3 days per day, then the algorithm will be able to optimize. And then if you have enough conversions, you should be able to bring that budget down a little bit. But yeah, I teach this because quizzes are so popular, and people they put a quiz up on their social media and it works great. And then they want to run an ad to it. And then either it doesn't work because the marketing, it's just not an enticing question that they're asking, or B, they set up the ad wrong and then they end up wasting money.
Makes sense. So do you have any specific tools that you point people to create these quizzes that you found to work better than others?
Good question. The one that, you're asking me something that I am forgetting now. There is a tool that works better for if you're running ads than the other one. It is Try something. I forget. I will email you that and then you can put it in the show notes.
We'll link it. Yeah.
Is it, well, I know a handful of quiz builders. Is it Interact by chance? Interact Quiz Builder? Because I think their website might be Try Interact.
Try Interact. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay. Yeah. That's Josh Heyman's product. Yeah. He's been on the show.
Oh, great.
Long time ago.
Yeah. Try Interact. Let me see if it is that one. Try Interact.
Yeah, that's a great tool. We actually use that for quizzes, and I think we have some running right now with it.
We do.
Oh, fantastic. Brilliant. Yes, it's Try Interact. Yes.
We're not using this Try. Nice. Good guess, Matt.
Well, I got it because you said Try, and I knew that's the one that popped to mind that I think had Try in the domain name. So very cool. Well, along the lines of tools, any other tools that you like to leverage a lot for ads or landing pages or any other thing? What does your tool stack look like?
Oh, great question. I love ActiveCampaign. ActiveCampaign is one of my favorite tools in the business. Love how I can just do all my email stuff on there, and it's smart and it gives us good data. So when we bring a client on board and they tell me they use ActiveCampaign, I'm very happy immediately. What else? Tools. We use Help Scout every single day. I love Help Scout in the business. We use, this is a very basic one, but rev.com for captions for ads. There are more tools coming into the market now that does the same thing as Rev, and Facebook has gotten better with their native caption creation, even for people with weird accents like me. In the beginning, they were just like, the stuff I said was just weird and funny, but that's getting better. What other tools? Let me think. That's a good question. I don't think about the tools that I use very often. Yeah, what other categories are there that I can tell you what tools I love?
How about the page builders or membership site, or all the stuff that's kind of
Right.
happening, I guess,
Yeah.
after the marketing, the input?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I still use WordPress. I love WordPress
Uh-huh.
for my website. We host our online courses on Kajabi, which I have
Okay.
a little bit of a love-hate relationship with Kajabi. I love how they host our courses because the courses, it's easy to use. Um, but I'm looking at something else that is coming up, which I use for video content, which is Searchy. I don't know if you guys have heard of
Oh yeah,
Searchy. Yeah, so Searchy,
definitely.
Yeah,
Stu
yes,
McLaren.
Stu McLaren. So I signed up for Searchy due to the fact that it integrates with Kajabi, and my students can literally search for any keyword, and then it brings up a list of all the videos, so the video training and the live Q&As, where they can have a look and go, oh, here she talks about that, there she talks about that, there she talks about that, which makes it super easy for me to just tell them very often when I'm finding repetitive questions. I go, just go search for that keyword. It's in the training. You'll find it there. So I don't have to repeat it, because I like coaching my students. Some questions are better than others, and some questions you can just go, hey, go watch the video, and others you can then coach people. So Searchy is now becoming a membership tool as well, where they're changing to like become full-blown membership site hosts.
Oh wow, didn't
Yeah,
know that.
and the beauty of that is you can segment your audience into the different places where they're at in their journey, and based on where they're at, you can only show them certain pieces of content. So that gets rid of
Right.
overwhelm, because in memberships, people like they leave because they're overwhelmed, they don't know where to start. But with this new tool, I'm really intrigued, and I'm looking into using that. They can say, well, this is where I'm at in my journey, and then you just show them the content that's relevant to them. And then when they've worked through that, you're like,
Yeah.
okay, now you're ready to move on, and here's the content that's relevant to you for that. So I love that. We do still build a lot of landing pages on Kajabi as well, because it's so easy. Yeah.
I'm kind of curious. You mentioned Active Campaign. Do you have any strategies tied into Facebook and all the engagement stuff you're doing there? Because I know I think it's the pro account, Matt, is it, on Active Campaign? You're able to kind of see who's engaging with your emails and then tie that over to your website and even feed custom audiences to your Facebook ads too.
Yeah, good question. I will say the very basic thing that we teach all of our clients and that we teach all of our students to do is just a simple feature that Active Campaign and every other CRM has, is tagging. So there's some fancy stuff that you can do in there. And I'll be honest with you, this is where I'm the CEO, and I pay someone to do the fancy stuff.
Right.
So the UTM stuff, I have someone taking care of that, and she's amazing at it. And I can't even speak to it because I know nothing of it. Right. But when we work with clients, very often they come to us and they've managed to create this, multiple six-figure funnel with their online course, and they're making $100, $200, $300,000 with live launches. And then we say to them, great, do you know the people that bought your course? Do you know which lead magnet they opted in for? And the answer is 9 out of 10 times, I don't know. Or we would say, or how many of the people who downloaded your lead magnet also opted in for your webinar? And the answer is, I don't know.
No clue.
And so we help them set, we help them set these things up. And that is as simple as putting a tag on every lead magnet, putting a tag on every webinar, putting a tag, every opt-in, everything people opt in for, just put a tag on there so that we can then like reverse engineer it and go, okay, so we want to figure out where these buyers are coming from so that we can strategically use ads to get more people who are eventually going to turn into buyers. Because we don't just want leads, we want leads who's actually going to buy our stuff, right? So basic tagging, and then we work our way back and we go, okay, so we have 5 different lead magnets. We look at the buyers, we look at the lead magnets, and we go, there's 2 lead magnets that look like they resulted in the most number of buyers. So let's never spend any money on the 3 that didn't result in buyers. So we just spend money for ads on the 2, or often if there's 2, one might be related to a different course or a different offer that they have. And we'll say, well, here we can see the start of this funnel. People, when they opt into this lead magnet, they are 50% more likely to then become a buyer. So let's allocate our Facebook ad dollars to this lead magnet. And then we can see people who opted in for a specific lead magnet, or we can look at the buyers and go, what percentage of the buyers were brand new and just signed up, joined your list for the first time in your webinar? And what percentage of them, of the people who joined the webinar, were already on your list? And we can strategize around that and go, well, okay, what we can see is they have to be on your email list in order to sign up for your webinar, in order to become a sale. And that tells us we can't evergreen this program yet, because people need that nurturing. They need the time. They need to be in your world. But if we look at it and we go, well, 70% of the people who ended up as buyers signed up for the webinar for the first time, then we go, whoa, this is something that can very easily be evergreened, because if they're likely to join as a cold person and come into your world for your webinar and then convert to a sale, that's a beautiful evergreen potential. That's something we can very easily then evergreen. So we that's our game. That's what we play. That's how we scale online course businesses. So no super fancy things, just basic tagging. But great question.
I love it.
Yeah.
Keep us. Oh yeah. There's all these features, and that was just one of them. That because we work with some email guys that do the fancy stuff for us as well.
I know. I need
and that's
to
one
learn
of the things they brought up.
I need to learn the fancy stuff. I know there's a lot of them that does fancy stuff with Facebook ads, and I'll be honest with you. Oftentimes, it's a distraction.
Sure.
And people get
80-20, right?
People get really excited about fancy stuff. And I just go, let's just get the basics right first. Let's just get let's make sure your marketing, your market message match is there. Let's make sure we're tracking how people are converting. Let's make sure we're doing the basic stuff and then look at the fancy stuff. But I'm curious about the fancy email stuff because email rates are down, man. It's down. The email open rates.
Yep.
It's terrible.
Well, yeah. And like you said, there's a lot of folks that we've even talked to on the podcast that are doing big, huge things. And they're like, oh, when it comes to email, because we talk about segmenting and all the journeys that we build on the back of our content, they're just like, oh my God, I don't do any of that. I just broadcast, almost like scream at everybody all at once with a megaphone.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's probably why it's happening. Taken.
It's probably why.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot here, Matt. Is there anything else you want to touch on?
We covered a lot of ground. I think I'm sure we can probably cover another hour worth of amazing stuff, but we might have to save that for a future round 2 or something.
For sure. Well, tell us about. I know you have a program that's I think by the time this went live is live now and active. But tell folks how they can go find you and join some of your courses and trainings that you have out there.
Well, they can just go to shineandsucceed.com. That is my website, shineandsucceed.com. It's a lot easier to spell than Salome Schillack. So Shine and Succeed. And then on the website there's some free resources for you there if you're interested in building engaged audiences. And there's a link there if you're looking for an agency to run your ads for you as well.
In your podcast? That's on there, I'm sure, too.
Podcast. Okay. That's the other big thing that's on there. Yes. So lots of free stuff. The podcast.
Can't forget the podcast.
The podcast is called The Shine Show. and I talk about a lot about online marketing and Facebook ads there.
Perfect. Well, I think this is this is amazing, and thank you for sharing the podcast growth strategies specifically for us, because we're selfish and we're going to totally send that to our team and actually implement that. And we'll let you know some case studies after we get some results.
I would love to see it. You can go and look at the ads I'm running for my podcast and just do that.
That's even a better idea. Well, thank you so very much, and we'll definitely tell you how it all goes and share this like crazy, because
I can't wait.
This is stuff that people need to know.
Yeah, it's very exciting. Thank you so much. You guys are awesome.